So we're going to talk a little bit about a general framework for problem solving. This is the first step in becoming a good programmer. Okay, so we're going to use 4 basic steps of problem solving called orient, plan, execute, and test. Now these apply to any kind of problem design, not just programming, not just designing a process, and I give you a little reference here if you want more information. I'm going to illustrate this concept with a seemingly simple example of crossing a street. So what are our 4 steps in that context? Well, to orient, we need to gather information. How much traffic is there? Are there traffic lights? Do we hear a siren? How does the traffic work? Do the cars typically stop for the lights? And what about bikes and pedestrians? Okay, so once I have this information, then my next step is to plan. What am I going to do? I'm going to stand on the corner and wait for the light? Am I going to jaywalk, or just how do I want to proceed? Execute is crossing the street. And checking is, did I make it safely? Thinking back, were there any hazards? Did I have a close call? Is there something I want to avoid the next time I do this? Okay, so in my first example, here's a street in Portland, Oregon, where I live. And crossing this street is something anybody who lives in the U.S. can do safely. You're going to walk to the corner here. Now you can't see it in the picture, but there's a button to push to get a walk signal. And you can also see here there are some guys working, but those are pretty much everyday sort of obstacles and extra conditions that we know how to deal with. So crossing this street, not a big deal. And we might not even have any conscious awareness of using our process. So here's another example. Crossing the street in Ho Chi Minh City. Okay, this was taken from my hotel window, and there's a huge traffic circle here. And down at street level, you can't really even get the impression from this picture. Down at street level, there's a constant stream of motorbikes, buses, trucks, cars, etc. Now the street I want to cross is actually over this way to get to the university where I was visiting. And the interesting thing is I walked down to a traffic light and the light turned red and the cars stopped, but the motorbikes kept going. So I didn't know what to do. And then I waited and I watched a person who lives there cross the street. And what that person actually did was slowly step out into the street. The motorbikes went around them. They got to the middle. They looked the other way, keeping eye contact with the motorbikes. Slowly walked across. So, okay, I got the picture. I made my plan. Next time the light turned red, I actually waited for someone else to cross, and then I crossed the light downstream from them, walking right next to them, and I safely got across the street. In this city, they actually have in the tourist areas special police to help you cross the street if you're a tourist. So I really needed to follow a process here in order to get across the street safely. So orient, looking at everything that's going on, figuring out the rules, planning, well, how am I exactly going to do this? Execute, you do it, check. Did it work? Okay, now I'm not going to read through the slides because I just talked through this information, but you can find these on my website. Okay, another example. Years ago I visited Paris and I went to the Arc de Triomphe. And here's a picture of it. And you can see there's this traffic circle around it. And in the middle there are some tourists looking at the Arc. So I wanted to get over there too. Well, it's not immediately clear that how you do that because there's no traffic lights or anything, and there's little cars whizzing around that traffic circle. So after a while, you know, I was thinking, well, gee, maybe you just run across or something. And I almost did it, but then at the last minute, I noticed, oh, there's an underground passageway, so you go under the street to get over to where the Arc is. Okay, so something unexpected. Here's another example. This is a street in London, and here there's actually a part in the traffic light cycle where all the traffic stops and pedestrians get to cross. And here's a similar intersection in Japan. Okay, so if you didn't take the time to orient and plan, and you just tried to execute by running across the street, you might get hit by a car, or you might get a ticket for jaywalking. So the moral is follow the process. What I'm trying to get at here is a lot of times people just want to start in with executing. They want to start trying something, you know, and if that doesn't work, try something else. What I'm saying is part of what we're going to do is just take a minute to think it over, look over what's happening, orient, think about a plan, then execute, and then test to make sure that the thing we did actually works. Okay.